All right, so let's talk about this particular question now. Over here, we are given two tables in the input. One is the salary table and another one is the employee table, right? So in the salary table, basically we are given the salaries of each of the employee for every pay date, right? Basically for every month, what was the salary of every employee ID over here, right? That's what this description says. And we are given another table, the employee table, and in this, essentially, we have the department mapping for each of the employee ID, right? Which employee ID belongs to which department, right? That is what we are given with, like as the input in these two tables. And what we need to do is we need to find the comparison result, higher, lower, or same, of the average salary of employees in a given department to the company's average salary for every month, right? So what it means is that for every month, I need to first find the average salary of a given department for every department, right? And I will get the department information by joining the employee table, of course. And also I need to compare this department average with the overall company average, right? And if the department average is same as the company average for a given month, then for that particular month and that particular department ID, this derived column, comparison column, will have the value same. If it is greater than the company average, the department average is greater than the company average for a given month, then it will be higher over here in the comparison. Otherwise, it will be lower, right? So it is pretty straightforward. Now, maybe you can pause this video and think of a solution to solve this particular problem. And once you are done, maybe you can just come back and check the solution, right? Now, to solve this particular question, it's pretty like intuitive what you need to do, of course, but then there are multiple ways of doing it, right? First, you need to find the the department average for every month. So for that, what you can do is you can essentially group by the salary table. I mean, of course, you have to join the employee table to get the department ID first, and once you have joined, then maybe you can group by and then group by on the department ID and the amount. Sorry, the department ID and the pay date, and this pay date will be representative of every month, right? Because every month there will be only one pay date. But essentially what you can do is, because anyways you want to like give only the month over here in the output, so I can basically derive the month first, out of this pay date, and then I can group by on the pay month column, right? So I can group by on department ID and the pay month first, and then find the average for every department. And then as a second step, in a second row set, what I can do is I can just group by the pay date, right? And take the average of the amount. So that will essentially be the average salary of the entire company for every pay date, for every month, right? And then I can join these two data sets on pay month, right? And then make this comparison to populate this data set, right? Otherwise, what I can do is, instead of using group by and then joining them, essentially I can think if I can use Windows function over here, and certainly I can over here. What I can do is I can find the average amount and over partition by first department and pay month, and in the second derived column I can just partition by the pay month, right? And find the average salary. So I will have like like side by side, I will have the department average and the company average, and then I can make the comparison then and there itself, right? I don't have to join anything. So we should always, like whenever we are grouping by, whenever we have to group by in a particular problem, we should first think if this is something which can be solved using Windows function, right? So this is how we can solve this particular problem. And now let's jump to our IDE and write a solution for this. All right, so let's write the query for this particular solution. So let me select from the salary table, right? And now if I just run this particular query, you can see this is the result that we have. This is the data that we have currently. Now what we need to do is we need to find the department average and the company average for every month, right? But we have the pay date over here, right? So we need to first derive the pay month out of this pay date, because essentially that is something that we also need to display in our final output, right? The pay month. So what I can do is, from this pay date, I will just substring the pay month part. I will just exclude the day part, and then I will include a derived column for named as pay month, which will have this particular value, right? So what I can do is I can use the substring function over here maybe, right? And then I can substring the pay date, right? And I can substring from first index till the seventh index, right? That's what I can do. But before doing this, I will also have to cast pay date as varchar, because in right now it is date data type, and substring won't work on the date data type, right? So I will have to cast it as varchar. And now, for example, if I just select it, I will get the month part, right? The year and the month part in the format that I actually needed, right? Now what I can do is I can just rename this as pay month. That should be fine. Now what I need is I need the department ID, right? Because I need to partition on the department to find the department average. So what I can do is I can join on the employee table, right? On a dot employee ID, b dot employee ID, right? This is what I can do. And then what I can do is I can select a dot star comma b dot department ID, right? And if I run this, uh, okay, I missed join over here. That's what I was wondering. Something is missing. And also I have done a typo over here. Yeah, so it works fine. Now I also have the department ID, right? So now what I can do is, now I can put this entire result set in a CTE, call it maybe CTE underscore salary, right? And then I can select from this particular CTE like this. And also what I can do is now I can calculate the department average and the company average using the window functions, right? So what I can do is I can calculate the average of amount, right? Like this. And I can say over, I need to partition by department ID, comma pay date, right? That's what I need to do. Pay month, I'm sorry, pay month, right? And also what I can just do is alias this as maybe department average, and I can do the same thing. I can repeat the same expression to basically calculate the company average. I will just remove the department ID from here, and that will give me the company average salary for every month, right? I can just rename it to COMP, right? And now what I need to do is I need to compare this department average with the company average for every department. So what I can essentially do is I can put this result also in a CTE like this, right? I can call it as maybe CTE average salary, right? Just average cell. And I can now just select from this particular average cell like this. And now I can do the comparison, right? So first of all, I can say case when my department average is greater than company average, then you return higher. When the department average is lower than the company average, then return lower, right? And otherwise else just return same, right? And I can end this like this, and I can maybe just alias this as what do I call it, comparison, right? So that's what I do. This will be a part of my final output, and I also need the pay month and the department columns in my final output. So I can just select that pay month, comma, department ID, right? And I can put a comma over here. I think that should be pretty much it. Let me show you the entire query in one go. Yeah, this is pretty much the query. Now let me run this. So it gives me for every department, it gives me the comparison for every pay month, right? But now if you see over here, you will see some duplicates over here. And why do you see duplicates? Because even now in the output, the granularity is at the employee ID level, right? Because we essentially didn't do any kind of group by anywhere, right? We didn't kind of lose the granularity, right? We have used the average functions, and for every row, right, for every employee ID row, we have actually put a derived column with the department average and the company average, right? And so now we are comparing the department average with the company average, but then essentially we have all the rows, right, which was present in the original input, right? So what we can do is we can actually put a distinct over here to just get rid of the duplicates, because essentially for every employee in a particular department, we will have the same result, right? The comparison for a given month will be same. So why do I need duplicate entries for a given department, right? I can just do it once and then I can take distinct, right? So that's why I will take distinct, and now when I run this, I will get the exact correct output and there won't be any duplicates, right? And you can compare this output with the sample output that I showed you. It will exactly match, right? So that's the entire solution for this particular problem, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.